Okay, I'm back with the Prokofiev Sixth Sonata, second movement, the scherzo movement. Change of key, 74, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, measure 79. Okay. Stuff happens here. The key changes. We've got 4 sharps where we had no sharps, but the fact is this is our second official key change, at least. It began in E, then we went into C major significantly for an extended period of time with all those left-hand arpeggios, and now we're back with E major. So, of course, the question is, not only are we back in E major, but we're back with the original theme. How is it the same? How is it different? First thing is obvious. The right hand seems similar. This is just on first glance. Doesn't have dots on the chords, which I will determine later if it's relevant. Actually, pretty quickly I see that the left hand has slurred eighth notes, so the implication, the inference I can draw from it, I guess, is that that it's going to be smoother in some fashion. It's still chords, individual chords, so even if they're not staccato, they're going to be non-legato by definition. I'm not going to go out of my way to slither, and Prokofiev shows no indication to do that. But I do want to know if the chords are different at all. This is the original. First thing I'll do to determine quickly, if I don't do a side-by-side visual comparison, is does it sound the same? Well, there's already harmonic shifts. Huh? I guess the first thing right away is that the first harmonization... Oh, well, I can't say that because I forgot the left hand contributes to the harmony. So I'm going to have to play in the original. For example, that chromatic rise. Okay, so, how very interesting. That just goes to show if I chose to, I could play the beginning that way. I'm always talking about hand redivision, but in this case Prokofiev has gone out of his way to make it necessary. He wants to sustain the same harmony, but he adds a counterpoint underneath it. So, found the first specifically different note in the right hand, 70, well, in this chordal part, which wasn't all right hand before. So 79, 80, 81, we get, ooh. I wonder if you know what? I believe I could go back, and those of you who know the piece might have cringed for my ignorance of the moment. This D sharp, early on in the piece. That just goes to show how important it is to apply your knowledge of notation, to be really careful about invoking the key signature and the other two traps, what I call hidden modifiers of pitches. A clef change that you don't notice, or an accidental preceding it in some hidden place in the same measure. But definitely, if I in fact mislearn the beginning, because of my misattribution, much more electric sounding. But why I think I mislearned it is because when I see it here, in a different incarnation, it sounded different. So, there we go. Not too late. Okay. I'm going to notate that, just to be sure I don't miss it. Wow. What a shift, a sudden shift to C major for a shocking shift. By way of E minor. So, what's the left hand album? wanted a big bash on the low C, I'd substitute thumb. It does have an accent, but I think for the sake of being ready for what's later, I'll use the fifth finger. So. I guess I'll just use an orthodox fingering for me. So I'll start on a 2 group, then a 4 group, then a 3 group. And I have to choose when I turn, whether I go 3, 3, 1, and then 2. Probably. Yep, that's what I'll do. 3, 1, 2. Again, this is one of those strange experiences when you go 3, 1, 2, and you say, look, if my hand and arm are tilted in this fashion, that the fingers line up the way they grow. So even though you're playing them out of order, you're playing them in a fashion that really finds and celebrates a neutral hand position. That's one of the coolest things. So, nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All is well. That's easy. So. I have to decide about that fingering. I could just leave my hand. My tendency is to move my hand towards greater comfort, but there's no reason for it here. Because it's just there. I'm tending towards that. Now, I like the 3. I think that'll work just fine. That'll work just fine. I notice sometimes when I turn away from the camera, my voice sort of tends in this direction. The piano stays directional because it hasn't changed its relationship to the mic, but pardon me if I sometimes sound as if I mumble. I will try not to mumble. Good. The only thing I could do is to go from 2 on B to 3 on C, but what's fun about that kind of thing is that the finger change signals the new key. So as I go the 3rd finger, there's C. I'll go back to hands alone to. Well, I'm curious, so I'm going to go back and compare the second phrase at the beginning. Whoa. Found a different movement? That's an unfair comparison. Stays the same. The theme, whatever you choose to call it. C major, that certainly is different. Okay, so this is the original. And this is this version. Okay, what's the same as the E major arrival. Here's D major, what used to be F sharp. Here's E minor, that turns into C sharp diminished. Okay, so those are all different. Usually I notate what's different, but because they're all different, I'm going to notate what's the same. So these are different. And I'm also going to make sure grab my diminished chord with the second finger involved. It's right there. That's good. This is the original. That's the same. How nice. This is just painstaking work. You have to do it. Or something like it. Ooh. This turns into this with a G instead of a B on the bottom. B major, let's see. This stays with a D natural and it changes. So this is all different. And how does it arrive? It arrives on B major here, and it arrives on B minor second time around. Okay, lots of stuff. Which, when I memorize it, may drive me batty, or maybe what I'm hoping is that I'll find enough reason behind these changes that I'll respond quickly enough, or with enough conviction that I'll see Prokofiev's point. I always like to stress the fact that if something is meaningful to you, it's easier to remember, it's more memorable. If something feels completely arbitrary, it's like learning gibberish. You don't have enough connections to the meaning to be able to internalize it. So it's much harder to stick when you just have a series of events for which you've made no connection. So I'm hoping that I will have sufficiently clear explanations for myself to make the differentiations work. Okay, I think it's about time to find out what's happening in the other hand. So here's a very small thing. It's obvious to me on measure 83 I'm going to make a leap from fifth to thumb, and I'll just follow through on what's natural. So I will shift to 1 on E. Now if I just did these in sequence, it would be 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, coming back up here. But I think I want to end with thumb. It's ever so slightly, even though I'm skipping a finger, it's like it is a chromatic fingering. 4, 3, 1 makes me more at ease to finish that. Whereas 4, 3, 2 would be a little compressed feeling, and the second finger would feel odd, not playing a black note. Thumb is right there, and it likes to play a white note. 1, then I move my hand, so what's next is not relevant. Whoops. Second there, working backwards. I certainly am not crazy about going 2-1, so I would hope that I can find a way of making 1-2 work. So working backwards, second finger, 2, and then 4. Works perfectly. I'll just mark 2 at the top for reinforcement. 2 and then 1 for that chromatic, and then I don't have 5 fingers available. I've got 1 finger in the left hand pinned down by the D, or holding the D, pinning down the D, shall I say. So I could go 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. I could go 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. I think that's what I'll do. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5, 3, 5. Why? Well, okay. For a moment I thought it was going to be 3 because it's longer, but 4 is... Isn't that funny? You know, you watch me erase and change my mind. This is, in a way, as it should be. you know, of course you want to make up your mind sooner or later. But the fact is, at this point in the learning process, if you're not unsure, either you're being silly about it, you're missing something, or it is simple enough that you're confident because there is no other solution or because it seems so right. When you're on the border, it's worth it to not be sure for a while. And even to note that if you can go in one of two directions or three directions, that they're all of them satisfying, fulfilling in some way, or all of them equally nasty. In this case, I'm going with 3. Okay, try to put some of that together. Getting there, but it's not a big deal. Okay, now, as you can tell, the painstaking nature of trying to be accurate meant it was completely halting. What I want to go to now is to find the connective tissue, to find the little idioms, the little motivic gestures. So, for example, that has a melodic unity to it, it's comfortable. And the left hand is going to turn after that. So it's a 4-note descending scale in the left hand, a 4-note ascending scale in the right hand. All is well with the world? Yes. Ah, see? So this goes through here and this. That immediately gives me a feeling of goodness. Iffy. Iffy is okay if you get rid of it. Fairly. I found a bit of arbitrariness in my right hand fingering, so I've got to check that out. Turn of that hand, I've got to remember the choreography, or let my body lead me to a good choreography. See, the right hand has to be non-legato. The left hand has been under slurs, but it isn't now. So to notate that discovery, I'm just putting little slashes between the notes. Now it's smooth. Okay, so that needs to be automatic. I found a good fingering, but I have to feel that augmented second. Make a difference. Do you know what I mean? I want the difference to leave an impression on me, so it's meaningful to me. Because if it's only meaningful to Prokofiev, I'm just being a mouthpiece, you know, a hired gun or something. It honors Prokofiev more if I understand more of what I think he was saying or doing than if I just spout it off without thought. And it's much less fun for me that way. I like the shift of mode. Yes. Yeah, okay. Well, that's the reason that it seems so bizarre to hear that A. The A is not strident at all. If I play the B minor, now I just go to D major, and that's no big deal. I don't know what I was thinking. I forgive myself. Onward. Okay, I'm peering because I'm not sure what I'm seeing. 93. There's a squishy chord here, a little cluster, which seems to be C sharp, D, E. That's what it is. Okay, one of these things where the accidentals looks of uncertain. Ah, okay. So, okay, the measure 89 had a chord with a accidental at the front of it that looked difficult to determine what it was pointing to. It was pointing to D natural. It couldn't be pointing to B because B is always natural anyway in this key. So now I've written B minor chord. I have no idea why it's notated in the music the way I see it, because typically a three-note, a triad that has thirds would be piled on top of itself, but it looks like one of the thirds is stuck over. So this, I fault the typesetter or the publisher or whomever. It's just a very screwy way of writing this. Because it quite clearly looks like a D. It's a natural. It wouldn't be a C. There's no line there. And then it goes to D sharp, which is a sure indication that the first one was a natural. So this is a hardship, a difficulty in reading that just shouldn't be here. It should be a stack of notes. And for some strange reason it's not notated well. So that's life. That's what I think it is. I am, though, going to put a question mark here to see if I can find any other version with something different. So, okay, so I have to be careful here. The melody note, the theme, is held on F sharp for a while, quite a while. Then it moves to E. But that's a part of this rather large cluster, so I've got to make sure I'm voicing the E. Okay, maybe this is worth a little bit of comparing. D natural and C sharp. I'm just writing a reinforcement. So this one is yes, 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 yes. Okay, I can stop saying yes. All four of those notes, two of them were written for the left hand last time around. It may give me ideas for redistribution, I don't know, but it's kind of funny the way Prokofiev has chosen to redivide. This is painstaking stuff. It has to be done. You can't, I mean, I've already found a few mislearnings that I indulged in because I was being a little bit sloppy. So. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Oh, it doesn't. No, anyone knowing the piece will know I've been playing the wrong note there for a few minutes. D natural. So it's 5-2 on the tritone. For me, no choice on the chord. 1, 2, 4, 5. And then flats. So it actually is nice to know there's a B flat chord. I'll write B flat, and I won't have any doubt about it. The approach again is a little bit different. Let me go back and compare them side by side. First version. Second version. B minor. Instead, and it's the closeness. It's always things that are close to one another that are harder to penetrate your consciousness and become part of your confidence, because they're so. The distinctions are so slippery because they are so close. Close is always harder to distinguish between than things that are dramatically different from one another. Okay. All right, let's see what the left hand is up to. Certainly dramatically different because the left-handed was playing quarter notes, of course, before. Nine, go 1, 3, 5, that rather open chord, a comfortable chord, 1, 2, 5, an uncomfortable chord, A major. I could go 5, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, but boy, that turn from thumb black note would not be pleasant, so I could do an orthodox A major, which would be 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and then probably 2 on top. That's fine. I can do 4, 2, 1. I'll do 3. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but again, it's slightly ungainly. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So let's go back to. Second finger on the B flat that prepares me for this nice chord on the left hand. Okay, one thing I did there was I told myself you're about to play a left-handed arpeggio, and I looked exclusively at the right hand. That's a significant aspect of how you choreograph your attention. You tell yourself what not to worry about, or how you've trusted, how it's become sealed up as an idiom. So. Even if I end up wanting to look at my left hand for accuracy, I want to know that I'm trusting in its simplicity. Alright, that's going to be fine. Let me make sure I have the fingering I'm using. 1, 2, 3. It's a little uncomfortable. Bad leap. That time I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was simpler. One, two, 3 is stronger, more comfortable ultimately. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 was what I'd call a learning fingering. That's what expedited having the pitches in the right place. So I think I'll probably end up sticking with 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Gives me more control at the bottom. Okay, here we are at 93 meno mosso. After all that meandering around, the hands get to more or less double, which is nice. Not entirely because the right hand has chordal contributions in addition. Okay, so it's fingering that's going to be the issue here. The notes aren't fast or anything, but the way I read them, they were slightly awkward. So far so good. Starts on 2. 1, 2, 4 for the chord for the B flat minor. Oh, that's not bad. I am going to go, let's see, 2, 1, 2, 4. Your choice, you could go to 3 on 94. So I don't even know why I wrote what I wrote. There's no way I could get to the second finger on the downbeat, so go figure. 4, 1, 2, 4, and then back to 2. Okay, that's not bad at all. 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. And then I open my hand up to 3, 2, 1. That makes sense. I think. If I do that, okay, it's non-legato, so it's perfectly reasonable then to go to the next measure after the thumb and just toss to 3. And that gets me to 5th finger easily. Nice. Left hand. Okay, if I start on what's logical to start with, 4, 3, 2, to mirror the 2, 3, 4 of the right hand. I just realized the left hand seems as if it's going to be more uncomfortable than the right. Let's see if... Now I'm trying 5, 4, 3. What if I went... Well, I've tried 4, 3, 2. 5, 4, 3, if I stick with the fingers as they fall. 2, 3, 4. Then I have to turn. 3-note group and a 2-note group. And I still end up not wanting to be on 4. Then I end up wanting to be on 5th. Weird. So, on the way down, I think 4, 3, 2 is not bad. 3 for the last 3 notes. I needed to turn somewhere. So if I do it there, 3, back to thumb. 1. Instead of 2, 4, 3, 1, or even 3, 2, 1. Oh, that'll do it even better. The 3 will signal that I'm going to somewhere different, that I'm going downward. Perfect. So 4, 3, 2. Turn my hand. Now 1, 3. Same notes, different fingering, telling me that there's a different outlook. See how it works together. Works just fine. Reinforce. All these white note arpeggios, you have to be doubly careful on white note arpeggios. That your choreography, get your hand placement comfortable. And that requires you to be aware of your thumb in particular, of the shortness of some fingers, and the relative relative inarticulate qualities of those fingers. So I'm going to write fourth finger here. Okay. Five is an obvious one in 96. Getting to 5 is no big deal because you have a long note, and I always think of long notes on the piano as opportunities to move. Okay. I have a choice to make. Do I want to go fifth finger on the C twice? In other words, and make this pairing, this neighboring tone, have a neighboring fingering as well, and toss? Or do I want to get fancy and go to 2? Let me try it the other way. Definitely 2. 2 is just a little bit safer. It sets me up, sets me up, sets me up. Yeah, okay, all is well. Let's see. Okay, I've got to be doubly sure. I think that's an E sharp equals F. Line, so it is an E sharp. Okay, I'm going to write F just so I know. And of course, he's doing it 3 octaves in a row, so that's a reinforcer. And 3 different rhythms. Triplet, 2 notes at once, and then a grace note. So 1, 2, 3, E, 4,